Every now and then we get videos out trying to debunk me. Well, recently it was from Simon Dan. Today's not about Simon Dan, it's about one of his followers trying to debunk me. And thank you for being here. I hope you guys really do enjoy this video. Recently, FE Peer Review brought out a video trying to debunk my so-called video that was shown on Simon Dan's channel. I thought it'd be an interesting rebuttal to give here, so we can actually show all the points that he actually went so wrong and why we actually go against the globe. This is the rational thinking you get from the globe side. Sit back, enjoy. Okay guys, so this is FE Peer Review. He even gives the date. Gravity is what it is, and we describe it as best as we can. Right off the bat, he's already conceding no one actually knows what gravity is, because gravity is what it is. So what is gravity? We describe it as best as we can. How can you describe something if you don't know what it is? We can actually move on to what is gravity just in simple terms. Let's first look at the first definition. Gravity. It's the force that attracts a body towards the center of Earth or towards other physical bodies having mass. Last time I know, gravity is not a force. So yes, people still use Newtonian gravity for things like shooting rockets and everything and seeing it as a force. But does it make it a force? No, it doesn't. It just means you piggybacking off of an idea that gravity has a force. Remember, gravity is not a force. Gravity. It's the force that attracts a body towards the center of Earth or towards any other physical body having mass. Now, as far as I know, Newtonian gravity teaches gravity as a force. We all do know that Newtonian gravity was invalidated by general relativity. So it is quite out of date. Gravity is not seen as a force anymore. Yes, people still use the law of gravitational's equation, but does that make gravity a force? No, it does not, because it just piggybacks off of the belief that gravity can be seen as a force even though it's not a force. It's so simple. Gravity standards today prove that gravity is not a force. You cannot have acceleration without a force. So when it comes to general relativity, pushing gravity not as a force, but you can act as if it's a force, goes against natural law. Because with natural law, as F equals ma, you require a force for the mass to have acceleration. Simple fact. So here we have more. Gravity is the force with which a planet and other bodies draw objects near towards its center. The force of gravity picks up all planets in orbit of the sun. But then again, remember what we said. Gravity is not seen as a force today. What is the best definition of gravity? Let's see. Gravity is also called gravitation. It's a force that exists among all materials in the universe for any two objects or particles having non-zero mass. The force of gravity tends to attract them towards each other. Gravity operates on objects of all sizes, from subatomic particles to clusters of galaxies. That is really odd to say, but remember, gravity is not a force. Maybe they should get to it. Again, by another one, gravity is the force by which a planet or other body draws objects towards its center. The force of gravity helps keep the planet in orbit around the sun. Why is there so much force being attributed to something that's not seen as a force anymore? Maybe they forgot. Go on to peer review's video.
This is FE Peer Review. The date is the 4th of November 2022. Gravity is what it is, and we describe it as best we can. Quite a while back, Professor Dave made a very entertaining video debunking flat earthers,
made a very entertaining video debunking flat earthers. If you actually watched the video, you would understand why it was not debunking anything except showing him doing straw man and red herring fallacies. Because if you take the context of what I was showing, which Simon Dan chooses not to show because it's a two-part series, He was using the Flat Earth Society narrative, which is a straw man of the actual Flat Earth. So going against what Flat Earthers actually say is a straw man. Yes.
It was a hugely popular video, got an incredible number of views. Well, Flatzoid decided that would be the perfect video to piggyback on and make one of his own based on that in response to Professor Dave. And then what do you suppose but Simon Dan saw Flatzoid's video.
Have to say thank you, Simon Dan, for actually showing it means you actually watch my content. So ace on there, brother.
And Flatzoid became the subject of today's Flat Earth Friday video from Simon Dan. Thank you very much, Dan, for an excellent video. I enjoyed it very much. There is a link to it in the description.
Excellent video, yeah, showing that you have just ignorance to everything and how you have to take everything out of context. And well, I'm going to be doing a live stream on that tonight, so yeah, if this has been aired before or coming out later, you would know it would be showing. Would be the name of the stream is Simon Dan is Clueless. Do watch that if you haven't watched it already, or if it's coming out before, then watch it then.
I left a couple of comments, and this video is based on those comments. I'll start with the first comment, which was a small one. Flatzoid's on a huge push to build up his channel. He sees a window of opportunity as other FE channels collapse in on themselves like dying star.
Everybody takes opportunities. That's what YouTube is about. You look at the trends and you take the trends. That's how you build a channel. I don't see what's wrong with that. But no, the other channels are definitely not dying in themselves. I'm still seeing them growing constantly, just like I'm growing. We are heavily censored, you could say kind of shadow banned compared to the anti-Flat Earth side. So just because you think they're dying, it doesn't actually make. Maybe you should actually go in the channels and see for yourself. It usually helps.
It makes total sense that he'd try to piggyback on Professor Dave's celebrity. That's a common tactic for people with no positive ethics.
Oh, is that so? Then why are you piggybacking off Simon Dan's video and mine? That would mean that Simon Dan is also piggybacking off of my video. So what does that say about you guys then, Effie? Kind of contradictory, don't you think?
It also makes sense that he'd end up with egg on his face.
Egg on my face? Where's the egg on my face? All you guys have shown is you guys don't even know your own belief system, and you guys want to use straw man arguments to burn. That's all you guys have been showing this whole time. And you are the pinnacle of carrying on showing that and showing ignorance towards the actual argument.
That's the usual result of his efforts. I'll be curious to see how Simon Dan prepares this egg before launching it expertly at the visage in question.
Okay.
I wrote that comment at the start of Dan's video, so I got to find out how he prepared the egg, and it was a joy to watch it launch.
Okay. And it kind of missed my face, you see. Because, yeah, I have eyes. I can dodge so-called flying eggs.
Now on to the meat of the matter. I'm going to start by playing a bit from Dan's video to put this in context. It's this discussion of gravity, buoyancy, etc.
Gravity and buoyancy. Okay, guys. Note, I've never once said the word buoyancy.
How can I put this to you? Gravity doesn't exist, not Professor Dave.
Point proven.
Yeah, point proven.
The flat plane comes first and then the globe. So don't come and say, we say if you take the globe and flatten it out, then gravity has problems. No.
Do you actually understand what was said there, guys? Remember what I'm saying. Because the globe requires gravity, they say flat Earth requires gravity. That is idiotic and nonsense. Just because your globe requires gravity does not mean the flat Earth requires gravity. So you guys are saying now, because you have a belief it's a globe, and you are turning it into a flat pancake, it means there's problems for gravity. A globe has got nothing to do with the flat Earth. So your idiotic, non-proven, even nobody knows what it is, gravity, has got nothing to do with the flat earth. Very simple. So you making a straw man that it was first globe and now flattened out, that's why you have problems with gravity, is stupid. I have no other word for it, it's just stupid. Globe earth, flat earth, separate. Your idiotic laws have nothing to do with flat earth. Hence why you guys don't understand the difference, and that's why Professor Dave, not a Professor Dave, cannot understand that flat earth society is not flat earth. It's controlled opposition.
This is a globe strawman argument. Nothing to do with flat earth, by the way.
Well, it is, because without gravity, how do flat earthers explain how things fall?
We've explained it many times, Simon and Dan. Many times. It's called relative density disequilibrium. Again, gravity is globe. Relative density disequilibrium is reality. Flat, horizontal, stationary plane. Remember the keyword, just stationary.
It has everything to do with you, Flatzoid.
No, it hasn't.
Objects accelerate towards the ground at 9.8 meters per second squared. That's an indisputable fact.
Yes, and it's indisputable fact that we can prove its relative density disequilibrium.
Oh my days, not this rubbish again. Flatzoid, you cannot prove that.
Can I not prove that? Relative density. Okay, guys, I'm going to actually go to something where I did a demonstration live. I think we're going to do the demonstration and then we can explain why this happens with the demonstration. Obviously, this is just a normal flask, well, container, plastic container with some water, tap water, so normal H2O. This is a plastic block, okay? I'm just gonna first empty it out because I put some money in there, some coins, so it can give it some weight. This block has density to it. What happens when I put this block into water? One of them has to be less dense. What do you know? It floats. So this plastic block is less dense than the water it's in. Obviously, you can also say, okay, even if it's a bit denser, it's maybe displacing the water around it, and that's why it's floating. Hi, PJ Kusheng, thank you for coming. Really Note, guys, I did not say anything about buoyancy. Just because you like to use buoyancy with gravity does not mean it actually uses gravity.
And share. Well, anyway, so you see it is less dense than the medium it is surrounded in. More dense than the air, so the air cannot support it, so that's why it drops, and it's less dense than the water, so the water can support it. What happens now if I'm going to make this object denser? You ask me now, how are you going to make it denser? Because density is already set, it's per cube. Exactly, but you can make the system denser.
Keyword, you guys, system.
So you're adding
system
more weight,
denser.
because you're putting more
aka
mass into the
putting
system.
more mass into the system, you're making it way more. So it's becoming,
I'm opening it, you
the
see?
system is becoming denser.
I'm going to be adding the points. This gives it more weight. I'm making the object, the system, denser.
The system, guys, keyword, system.
Remember, it floated a few seconds ago. What happens now? It's still denser than the air, so it's going to fall still, and now it's going to be denser than the water.
Oh,
Is the water able to support it now? No, because the water is now less denser than the object. Remember, the density per cube is still the same, but the system is now denser. This is why I was explaining, when you put something of more substance together in the system, you make the system denser.
very simple stuff. So there we go. I just kind of explained it to you guys.
You just can't.
And I just did show you.
Okay, I want to focus on just one thing here, and I'll start with my comment.
Just have to know, remember he just said, you just can't. But then I just showed an actual demonstration explaining it. Weird.
All these people who keep repeating gravity is not a force are misquoting.
No, we're not misquoting. Gravity is not a force. First of all, what is gravity? Nobody actually knows what gravity is. Remember Neil deGrasse Tyson? What is gravity? I don't know.
What is gravity?
I have no idea. Okay, next question.
Go back about 2 years when they all first started parroting this. They used a quote from Wikipedia, which I've got shown below, and I've highlighted the quote. Gravity is most accurately described by the general theory of relativity posed by Albert Einstein in 1915, which describes gravity not as a force.
That's quite simply straight up. Gravity not as a force. But you guys say gravity is a force. Newton, gravity is a force. Einstein, gravity is not a force. There's no miscommunication there. Accurately described, remember? Not a force, a force. Do you understand? It's either one or it's two. It cannot be the same. It's either an apple or it's an orange.
But as the curvature of space-time, caused by the uneven distribution of mass and causing masses to move along geodesic lines.
What does that mean? Simple. Curvature of space-time, a man-made concept, space, and a man-made concept, time. In the fourth dimension, I might add, we live in three-dimensional reality. There is no such thing as the fourth dimension. It's all mathematical based. Do you get that? It's mathematical based in the fourth dimension, not the three-dimensional reality we live in. What is F equals ma? Force equals mass to accelerate. Do we have this happening with general relativity? We have the so-called acceleration without a force. So it goes against Newton's laws of motion. Is Newton's laws of motion wrong now? Or is Einstein wrong now based on Newton's laws of motion? You cannot have one or the other. You can only have one or the other, you cannot have both.
Grammar matters.
Grammar does matter, and that's why when they say something specifically, like we just read, it says it specifically. Gravity is not a force.
This quote does not say that gravity is not a force.
You just literally hear it out. Gravity is not a force. Not a force. It literally just said that. It's on screen now, guys. You can see gravity is not a force.
It says that Einstein described it, quote, not as a force, but...
Yeah, because it's not a force. If you describe it not as a force, it means it's not a force. That's what describing means. You're describing something. If I'm describing this charger pin, it has 2 points, it is rectangular. Am I describing it now as a circle? No, it's still a rectangular shaped 2-pin charger, because I'm describing what it is. So when you describe something not as a force, you are saying, look here guys, gravity is not a force, this is the reasons why. That is what general relativity is. Not, I have a belief that gravity is a force, so even because he says it's not a force, therefore he's describing it as a force. Yeah. Should I get Groendakie's number for you?
but as, etc. This does not mean that gravity is not a force. It means that Einstein described it differently. I like to give these examples.
Okay, let's see, guys, he's giving an example. Let's see what he's going to say.
The Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco is one of the engineering marvels of the world. But if I chose to, I could describe it not as an engineering marvel, but as one of the most important tourist sites on the west coast of the USA. In doing so, it is not suddenly ceasing to be an engineering marvel.
No, it's an engineering marvel whether you say it is so or not. I think you can make 2 and 2 together that you're making a false equivalence here, because the bridge is based on engineering ingenuity. So even if it's a tourist attraction, you're still describing the same bridge as a, how can I put it, engineering marvel, because that's why it's a tourist attraction in the first place. The people are going to watch the engineering marvel firsthand. When it comes to gravity, one saying, I describe it as a force, hence the gravitational equation, the constant everything, and then you get general relativity, showing it, describing it not as a force. Do you even look at the two equations and you see the difference?
Nor am I saying it is not an engineering marvel. I am simply describing it not as an engineering marvel, but rather as an important tourist attraction.
Again, false equivalence. Just because you are taking one aspect of the bridge and not telling the other, describing the other aspect of the bridge, is not the same as equivalence of saying one describes the gravity as a force and one describes the gravity not as a force. Do you understand? Two different concepts. The bridge is the same bridge. You're just choosing to describe one aspect of the bridge. This is the level of logic we get from you guys. And you want to know why we laugh.
Another example. I could describe Rachie 00000 not as a flat earther, but rather as a mother. In doing so, she doesn't suddenly cease to be a flat earther, unfortunately.
I like how you put unfortunately there. You know, that's kind of sort of like a bigotry statement. But yes, we do understand the bigots. Hence why we have so much of you guys literally going out your way to try and discredit flat earth. But it's fine with us because we get content out of it. We get to show the world that actually do think logically just how dumb you guys are. Because every time you guys open your mouth, you think you are saying truth, but you don't even know your own religion. Hence why you have to come up with straw man and false equivalences to try and do what you do. No, again, Rachie is the same person. Understand? Just because you're describing one aspect of her does not now take away the other aspect of her. Gravity, either force, not a force. Let's put it in another shell. Magnetism. The North Pole, the South Pole. Hello? Can you call the North Pole the South Pole, and can you call the South Pole the North Pole? No, you can't. Just like gravity. Force, not force. Rachie or the bridge, same Rachie, different aspect.
She remains both a mother and a flat earther. Within Newtonian physics, gravity is indeed a force.
Yeah, in Mathematica, it's a force. In other words, in maths. Remember, we can debunk math as reality so many times. This is why your gravity and your heliocentric belief is all just correlation based. Because you make equations and not actually do science, you do pseudoscience and have correlations based on your equations and then call it science. That's why things get invalidated all the time. That's why you guys can't accept science actually proves things. Because you guys don't do science. Very simple.
It causes masses to accelerate. Einstein simply describes it differently.
No, Einstein doesn't describe it differently. He describes it very accurately, as he says, not as a force. Newton describes it as a force. One or the other. Sorry I have to repeat myself, but this is definitely not getting into these guys' heads after years and years of explaining this.
Lest we forget, the title of this video is Gravity is What It Is, and we describe it as best we can.
Okay, then tell us, what is gravity?
What is gravity?
I have no idea. Okay, next question.
Wow.
No, here's the difference. We can describe gravity. We can say what it does to other things. We can measure it, predict with it. But when you start asking, like, what it is, I don't know.
But I think before we go on, let's see what gravity is pushing towards now. Express. Newton was wrong. Scientists dismiss Newton's theory of gravity and warn Einstein is next. That dismiss word is very, very strong, don't you guys think? What does dismiss mean? Come on, you really said grammar, remember? Newton was wrong. Was wrong, not he is still right, we're just describing it differently. Scientists dismiss Newton's theory of gravity. What was Newton's theory of gravity? It is a force, mass attracting mass. And now warns Einstein is next. Yes, guys. Hence why entropic gravity is being pushed now, because of gravity not existing, because it keeps changing, because they keep finding loopholes in it, because it is not causative based, it's correlative based. You guys take something like falling and say, oh, I have a belief it's a sphere, so therefore it has to be the mass pulling it to it, so it has to be a force. That is it. It's as simple as that. We, on the other hand, on flat Earth, remember the whole background behind this was Professor Dave was trying to debunk flat Earth. You bringing gravity into flat Earth is a straw man. Flat Earth doesn't use gravity. It doesn't exist. You are supposed to be going against relative density disequilibrium then, not gravity. Gravity is simply globe-based and controlled opposition, pizza flying pancake, flat Earth society. We do not push the flat Earth society nonsense. That is globe opposition. That is controlled opposition from the globe side. Please, for anybody that's actually got eyes to see and ears to hear, Flat Earth Society is not a Flat Earth group. They are a controlled opposition from the globe side. Okay, back to debunking your gravity. Newton is widely regarded as the greatest scientist of all time. However, groundbreaking black hole research has now disproved Newton's theory of gravity. Disproved, guys. Do you see that word, disproved? Did it say just described it in another manner? No, disproved it. Newton's theory was based on acceleration based on a force. It's no longer the case. Disproved means throw it away. It's not valid. Anybody that's holding on to that belief is showing they are stronghold to their cult belief. And even Albert Einstein theories are starting to fray around the edges, and scientists are whirled. Yeah, and remember, his is now bending of space-time in a fourth dimension that you cannot get to, ignoring that we live in three-dimensional reality, and ignoring that to have an acceleration you require a force. So, more than 100 years after Albert Einstein published his iconic theory of general relativity, it is beginning to show signs of age. Weird. If it was fact, if it was validated, it would not show any signs of age. It would just stay validated, because that's how scientific method works. When you create a hypothesis and you either invalidate it or validate it, and it can be repeatable and shown to anybody that can do the same process over and over and gives the same results, it will always stay valid. That's how scientific method works. What has changed to invalidate that hypothesis? You would literally have to create another hypothesis to test, therefore not invalidating that previous hypothesis, because that is the hypothesis. You have to flip and literally change it to disprove it. And then you won't be disproving it because you created a different hypothesis. Logical thinking, guys. Logical. It's beginning to show signs of age. Now, following the most comprehensive test of general relativity last year, relativity yet near the monstrous black hole at the center of our galaxy. Yeah. University of California's Professor Andrea Ghez has announced Einstein's theory of general relativity still holds up. For now. Professor Ghez said Einstein's right, at least for now. We can absolutely rule out Einstein's law of gravity. we can absolutely rule out Einstein's law of gravity. Our observations are consistent with Einstein's theory of relativity, general relativity. Do we even have to go on? Do we? No, but I think we should. Gravity. Is gravity an entropy? Remember, Eric van der Linde pushes entropy gravity. Let's just quickly see what they say. Physicist advances a radical theory of relativity. The Dutch physicist Eric van der Linde's hypothesis describes gravity as an emergent force, not fundamental. That means entropy, guys. The scientist thinks his ideas describe the universe better than existing models, without resorting to dark matter. Remember, Einstein has the problem with dark matter. Yeah. While some questions have been previously posed, van der Linde is rewording his ideas a full-fledged theory. And then we go on, you can read through it. He also didn't think there was such thing as dark matter, but dark matter is pushed today as science, remember, quote unquote. But is it? No. Eric van der Linde's view based on string theory, quantum information theory, and physics of black holes, gravity as an entropic force. I love this entropic gravity actually. You know why? Because it kind of underlines what relative density disequilibrium is. Because pressure governs how everything works in the world. Pressure mediation. Entropic gravity is just based actually on pressure mediation, which goes against everything you guys have been teaching as gravity, and actually validates relative density disequilibrium as a force. Way to go, guys. The globe is moving more and more towards the flat earth every day. So yeah, there we see. He's literally saying it. If you guys haven't already, do go and watch this big thing. I actually got a video on my channel. I'll stick the link in the description box for you guys below. Yeah, and then this was just Mr. What's her name? So let's carry on.
On the 13th of October, NASA produced an article describing their plans for the space probe Lucy, and that it was going to do a, quote, gravity assist trajectory around Earth to speed it up and send it off into another direction. The article is linked in the description. It says Lucy launched on October 16th, 2021.
Yeah. While you're showing this, what has this got to do with anything you've just presented? Gravity assist trajectory. Now, would that require a force? Would that require gravity to be a force to hold the gases down to Earth, to, you know, so we can breathe, so you would actually be able to do any of this? Note how none of this is actually showing true to reality. It's literally just some CGI nonsense again, explaining Lucy is going to be pulled from the gravitational field. Let's try and explain this. Lucy is supposed to piggyback off the gravitational force, the acceleration towards Earth, to be pushed away again. So in other words, you have a circle, it comes, and it's going to get close enough to be able to fall around Earth and get slingshot the other way. That is practically what they were saying.
On October 16th, 2022, 3 days after this.
I would like someone to actually demonstrate this for us. Demonstrate for us orbital slingshotting, please. Not just explain it based on equations and math that you cannot observe actually. Actually demonstrate for us. Just like we still ask you to demonstrate gas pressure without a container. Not pointing to the sky, oh, atmosphere, which is an oxymoron. Atmo is not sphere-based. It is gas. We are breathing gas. No matter what altitude you go, there is gas. It's a pressure gradient, gas pressure gradient. Just because you call it atmosphere does not take away gas behavior, does not take away what gas pressure is. Antecedent containment. So provide us a demonstration that you can have gas pressure without containment. Provide a demonstration where gravity, not as a force, can cause an acceleration to gas. In other words, showing it to go opposite in the way gas is moving, which is in all directions, by the way.
Same as before.
Article is to come out, Lucy will fly by Earth like a partner in a swing dance, boosting its speed and elongating its orbit around the sun. This maneuver is called a gravity assist, and they also produced a little video clip showing
video. They produced a video clip, guys. Let's just see this video.
what their plan was for this gravity assist.
That's a shame. A video to say what their plan was. So it's not an actual video showing it happening. It's again a video showing what the plan is. So the usual, I'm showing everybody a video, CGI, computer composites, artist rendering program on what it's supposed to look like, and then we never get the real deal. It's so difficult to take billions of dollars and just buy a damn camera or create a camera that can just sit there and monitor everything so you can actually take it from a third-person view. I mean, think about it. The media would go crazy, putting billboards up in space. I am bringing you this live now. Just think how much money everybody can make just out of media alone. I mean, you would think the media would be all happy to put their own quote-unquote satellites in space to actually take video footage of like Lucy happening. How much money would they make based on their popularity? We are the first media group to actually show live Lucy orbiting and slingshotting around Earth. Does this happen? No. Very odd why it doesn't happen.
Here's that clip.
Just as a thought, CGI composites, guys. This is not real. Just to have to tell you that. So if you guys, if you think that's real, then there's something wrong with you guys. Oh, there's Lucy's apparently coming. Oh, whoa. Why is there so much satellites around? But Lucy's getting very, very close to Earth, guys. Notice that. She had to go very close to get that gravitational pull. Did anybody actually see this happen? There, see? Slingshot it off, just like I said.
3 days later, exactly as planned, down to the minute, it completed its flyby, and along the way snapped this lovely photo of Earth, which I put up on a video a few days ago.
A video of Earth? Is that supposed to be a video or a photo? You just said video of Earth, I think. We actually have to look into this, because if you're claiming it to be an actual photo, where exactly did this photo take place? Was it in space? Did you actually see the actual Lucy go around? Did anybody actually observe this happening? Or did they just show computer generated images of this happening like we just saw on screen? So yeah, I think we should look into this, if this is actually a real photo or video.
A beautiful one-shot image, not a mosaic.
One-shot image. So that means, guys, it's a photograph. One shot. Great. So I think this is a claim that it's a real photograph, guys. We will actually go and look into that.
Photoshop. Just a single snapshot of Earth as Lucy flew past. She was actually flying lower than the ISS.
Lower than the ISS. And do we see this from the ISS? Or was it maybe just further away when they took the photo? Would you be able to give us exact distance that Lucy took this so-called photo, please? So we would be able to know if it is even plausible on your model.
At one point.
Okay.
So I have a little challenge. For
Challenge.
Flatzoid.
Challenge for me, guys. Okay. Let's listen up. Challenge for me.
And others who promote the buoyancy thing.
No. I don't promote buoyancy. Buoyancy is a word describing your gravity as a force. So even you guys can't use buoyancy because it requires gravity to be a force. When you want to describe buoyancy on a flat earth, in other words, it means it's because of relative density. It's the displacement of the weight, the displacement of the densities. You understand? So like a ship on the water, its shape displaces the amount of water, and it's got air inside there that is more, making it aka lighter than the displaced area. That's all. It's got to do with pressure mediation. Remember, relative density disequilibrium is pressure mediated. Just like Eric Verlinde just said, entropic gravity. In other words, entropic gravity is moving towards relative density disequilibrium. Yeah, really odd. Something that's not supposed to be scientifically validated. Although we got actual hypothesis and experimentation on relative density disequilibrium. Really odd that, and I haven't even seen an actual hypothesis yet even for gravity and an experiment on gravity. Now you guys come and say, oh, but Einstein had a prediction. Yeah, he had a prediction that we would see light bending with an eclipse. So Eddington actually saw this. No. Correlative based predictions is the same as a fortune teller making predictions. It's not science. There's no causation there. There's no manipulation of the IV to have the DV. Do you understand that? It's pseudoscience. Hence why even that is getting debunked now and pushed as entropic gravity.
Show us your math for how you would launch and navigate a space probe like Lucy and do what NASA describes as a gravity assist.
Sorry. What? You want me? Let me get this straight. You want the flat earther to do an orbital slingshot of gravity on a flat. What? We aren't making the claim for orbits or gravity or even space. That is your claim. So that's kind of making you try and push in the burden of proof onto me and the rest of us because you can't prove it. Don't you guys find that really odd? I find that very, very odd, guys. Okay, let's go on. It's kind of quiet. Are you talking?
I'd like to see your math using your buoyancy and density equations to show how that is accomplished.
Again, we don't push buoyancy and gravity, relative density disequilibrium. It's simply the displacement of pressure. You either have enough pressure to support the object or you do not have enough pressure to support the object. You're picking up something, you are putting energy into the system. Energy can only be transferred. It cannot be created or destroyed. So picking up something I pick this up, I put energy into the system, the air around it is not enough pressure to support it, yes, even above, but I picked it up. I brought it up from a place. I put energy into the system. Do you understand? I'm dropping it, in other words, it's sinking because it's releasing that, it's transferring that energy into the surrounding system. Why would it go up? Because if it was going up, it would mean it's creating more pressure, it's transferring more pressure, more energy upwards. That's just idiotic thinking. You've already put the energy into the system. If you put it up with high altitude, you put more energy into the system. Understand? Less potential energy, more potential energy. You've got a further distance. Yeah, relative density disequilibrium. It's more out of disequilibrium the higher you go. So the more potential energy it has. And no, Flat Earth does not use gravitational force. Just because you have your G constant in your equation does not mean gravity is doing anything. It's not. It's simply pressure mediation.
Successfully, such that NASA could take your equations, launch a space probe.
NASA doesn't need to take anything we have because there's no such thing as space. To say, remember, space is fake, as we like to say. It's a second law of thermodynamic violation. How much more times must we make this clear to you? Globe separate, Flat Earth separate. Stop pushing your globe religion onto Flat Earth. That is where the confusion comes in. Not the Professor Dave has the same issue. Simon Dan has the same issue. Actually, all the anti-Flat Earthers have this exact same issue. You're putting globe belief systems onto the Flat Earth. It does not work that way.
And have the project be a success. Be thrilled to see that.
Well, it's not going to happen because no one's making the claim. We'll be thrilled to actually see you show actual evidence of what you're claiming, because that's your burden of proof, not ours.
If you can do that, you can demonstrate that you're able to do the same thing that all these great rocket scientists are accomplishing. Oh.
Yeah, shooting rockets into the ocean. Okay, anybody can do that. You can easily, if you just take the relative density disequilibrium equation, simply the potential energy equation, and just change the G for energy or disequilibrium, it doesn't matter. You can change it to electrostatic potential if you really wanted to as a joke. It doesn't matter. It's just an equation. And that symbol is just a description in that equation. It doesn't make it true.
All those great engineers, all these people that are working so hard, that spent their lifetimes building up to doing projects like this.
And that's a shame.
You will have shown that you're in their league.
It's not about who's in what league. It's about trying to show you the truth. It's trying to show you have been indoctrinated, just like all of us have. We all came to the truth. Hence why we are no longer globe believers. I mean, look at my shirt. I still like Star Wars, but I'm not a globe believer. Now, does that mean now I don't understand anything about the globe religion? I was a glober most of my life. We, as Flat Earthers, have just moved on from the lies of the globe Earth. We are not part of that cult anymore. Hence, logical thinkers.
So there's a challenge for you.
I just debunked your so-called challenge. It's not a challenge because it's just a burden of removal fallacy.
See what you come up with. When you've got something, put out a video, let's talk about it. It'd be great to see. I'm in the process of editing the video,
this
and
is really pathetic.
I realize that I have to add something here, unfortunately. I know that any flat earther that does come across this is just going to say, well, NASA is all a bunch of lies and space is fake and all this kind of stupid.
Oh, so you actually came up with what I was reading. Yeah, maybe you just realized your problem when the arguments you just made. Yeah, contradictory, doesn't it? Because you're pushing the globe narrative onto the flat earth. That is why you have an issue. So let's hear your excuse now why you made that proclamation.
Good stuff. It's weak-minded conspiracy thinking that they engage in simply because they can't face reality.
Sorry, I thought this was talking to me, Flatzoid. You know, this was addressed to Flatzoid. Now it's all of a sudden they conspiracies. No, there's no conspiracy here. It's simply you were wrong and I'm showing you were wrong. Can I make it any clearer?
And it's really wrong. And I'm not going to go into it, except that I did make a video on the subject a couple years ago. I'll put a link to it. This is the title of that video, in which I lay out the real problems with that kind of mindset. I'm not even going to bother addressing the blatant, obvious fact that they have never once managed to prove anything to support their nonsense about these conspiracies.
Okay, what did we just do in this whole video? And again, it's not a conspiracy. It's kind of projection here, mate, because nothing presented from you guys has ever been proven other than faith, belief, CGI, mathematical deductions. That's all. Literally faith-based. You just make an equation and you predict like a fortune teller, and if that so-called prediction comes true, it means it's true. No. It just means you guys are reading the cycles. What do you think happened before the globe even came by? There were cycles, observations done by people for millennia. Thousands of years, people have been looking up in the sky and been seeing the same cycles. Whether you have a globe belief or a diamond belief or a donut belief, it doesn't matter. It's the same cycle observed in reality. Flat earthers, like myself, see it as reality. We do not have the earth moving. We see it in the sky. It is moving over us. You guys have the belief by ignoring everything optical, aka perspective, and saying, we take the measurements on a flat baseline, aka the equatorial plane, which is flat, guys, circle, and see it in the sky. So therefore it looks as if it's spherical, so it must be that spherical, and we are spherical as well, and we are moving. No, guys, prove it. Prove it. Yes, give us evidence for this. Don't just go and say, oh, but consensus that and consensus. Consensus has nothing. Consensus is rubbish. How much times do you see in history with people begging the question or pushing consensus and they were shown wrong? Consensus is bullshit. Your opinion of consensus has got nothing to do with reality.
I'll just say, if you're a flat earther, I don't want to hear it until you've gone and watched this video, and even then I don't want to hear it because...
Wow, that explains all. I want to hear it, but even if you go and watch it, I don't want to hear it. So who's the closed-minded one now, guys? Who is the closed-minded one? The one that's saying, I want you to watch it, and then I want you to come back to me with it. But even if you watch it, I'm not going to watch it. I don't want to hear it. Kind of sounds like a bigot, you know? Because I believe something, so you are just wrong, and no matter what you're going to present, you are wrong. If you peer review, thank you for showing you are just a bigot.
Because I don't care what you have to say on that subject. My mind's closed to that.
My mind's closed to that, yeah. Your mind's closed to anything that goes against your heliocentric belief, aka religion, cult.
You come to me with good arguments about science and I'll listen. You come to me with a bunch of
It would help if you actually show science, then we can come with science, but pseudoscience is not science. I've explained this to you many times, and I think I've tried to explain it to you in this video as well. Pseudoscience is not science.
conspiracy BS, and I will not be there.
Okay, guys, so...
Alright, enough.
Alright, guys. I think that's all for today's video. I hope you guys really enjoy that as much as I did. Okay guys, I think that's all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. If you have any comments or anything about this, please leave it down in the description box below. Please do just like the video and share it so it can get out to a wider audience, because it does help me to bring out better content for you guys and to bring the information out to you. If you peer review, you can always come and actually talk to me on my channel if you have any disagreements. Like I said, I am open-minded, unlike you just showed you are not open-minded. And yeah, if you guys don't know, I do have live streams quite often, so please do come. Till next time, God bless.